And welcome back to the, I was going to say new and improved. I don't know about improved yet.
Oh, I'm back, so
but we're retooling this channel a little bit, changing the name from the Wrestler's Dozen to what we're now calling the Work Shoot Alliance. I know there's a Work Shoot podcast and stuff. We suck at names. We're doing what we can, but we're no longer going to do the top dozen anymore because we want to shorten the episodes a little bit. So we're just going to stick to the top 6 format. And we're going to keep the trio format going as Jim and David are here with me this week and hopefully every week. And we're going to start things off as we have overhauled this channel a little bit and talk about the top 6 character overhauls of all time. And Jim, I'll just go to you first. What do you think, how tough do you think it is for somebody to completely overhaul a character?
You got to look at what direction you want to go with it too, because I think you can either, if you come in as a good guy and you want to switch to a bad guy, you have to come up with a whole new persona. It's easier to go bad guy, but I think it's got to be tough. Like you have to change everything about yourself, your mannerisms, your move set. Sometimes like it can't be easy.
Right.
Yeah, like a overhaul is hard to do because like Jericho tweaks a lot.
Yes.
Like if he would have went from 2000 Jericho to what he is now, you'd be like, why? Where'd this come from?
Right.
But all of his tweaks here and there, it leads to where he's at now, and it works.
Yeah, he obviously doesn't make this list for what you just said. Is he's been tweaking along the way. The Undertaker's another one that, other than his American Badass time, he tweaked the Undertaker gimmick for a long time, and then when he went back from the American Badass back to the original Undertaker format, he tweaked that a lot as well. We're looking for full-on hardcore character overhaul. And let's start with one of the original ones that I can remember, and that is Sting, who went from colorful face paint, Surfer Sting is what I always called him, I know a lot of people did too, to Crow Sting, which I didn't realize at the time because I didn't know what the Crow was when this thing happened, but blatant ripoff.
Yeah, big time. But it worked.
It did.
It got over big time.
But I do have to say, going back, I was full on with Sting and his character change, and I think I heard somebody else say it on another show that I watch from time to time, talking about this same thing where I was a teenager at the time, so angsty Sting was perfect. Maybe it was Seth Rollins that was talking about that on his Untold Stories thing. So that was just perfect for me. Going back, it's awkward. Just with the weird like padding he has on the thighs, and he had gained a little bit of weight. Not as much weight as Eric Bischoff is saying in his podcast is why they didn't pull the trigger. Oh, Jesus. Not tan. Sting not tan enough to win our championship. But I love Surfer Sting a lot more, but that was a huge overhaul.
Yeah, it was like, thanks to Kevin for informing me of the Crow part of it too, but I never watched the Crow and still haven't. My bad. But yeah, I loved this transformation because I remember like when he was got hosed out of the Fall Brawl match, everyone thinking he was the Sting that NWO recruited, and when he did the interview, his back was to the camera. And that little touch to me was just awesome. Of he's sick of everyone's crap, and then he vanishes, and he's just in the rafters, and that was just well done. And every time the went and beat some NWO ass with the Scorpion Death Drop, it was just great. And he never did that finisher at all until then, just to get something new, and it had me hooked the entire time. And then the bell rang when he finally got to wrestle Hogan, as Pritchard would say.
I was a big Sting mark when I was a kid. Like I said, I had the flat top and the rat tail when I was super.
Bring that back.
At least the rat tail.
Yeah,
I'll bring the rat tail back. We'll keep everything else bald. No, huge Sting mark. And then, as like you said, as time went on, I got to see the Crow when I was younger, so I knew what it was eventually when he built into it. But to just see him go from neon blue and green to flat black and white, it was a huge overhaul like we were talking.
And
the no talking
Yeah.
for a whole year.
Yeah.
Like he just goes from outspoken Sting to mute.
And he ruined it by going to the Wolfpack and turning it all red. That was the worst. But I do have to say, I don't think Surfer Sting would have worked I mean, it wasn't the Attitude Era for WCW, but in that time frame.
Kissing babies.
Another one that was a big change and worked perfectly for the Attitude Era was Steve Austin, who came to WWE as the ringmaster and was just awkward. He still had his mannerisms from back when he was wrestling in WCW with Brian Pillman, and to me it always felt really herky-jerky.
Yeah.
When he was wrestling as that kind of heel. He brings it back when he wrestled Angle in 2001, that match where we really loved at Survivor or at SummerSlam. But to go from there to the just stone cold Steve Austin and give no shits and just right down to business, give me my beer and stuff. That change works really, really well, and it took a little bit more time. Sting's was, I mean, the storyline was a year, but he went from Surfer Sting to Crow Sting like that. Steve Austin's took 8 months, I think.
I think so, about that, from ringmaster to.
So he had kind of tweaked the ringmaster for a little bit, and then did the King of the Ring promo, which was his first big thing, and then beat Bret Hart at Survivor Series.
Oh, he lost to him.
Or he lost. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he had him in the move, and then Bret Hart had flipped. That's right. And then, the big match at WrestleMania, and then the whole thing with Vince McMahon started happening. So it was like a good 8-month thing, but between King of the Ring and then where he stuns Vince was such a great change.
Yeah, because I remember after he won King of the Ring, I think he still had a mini feud with Mark Marrow, and instead of being just his ringmaster, Ted DiBiase guy, you just saying things how Sable should be at home clinking pots and pans in the kitchen and not be by the ring, and always had to chime in Bret Hart for some reason. They had to build that feud up, and he just turned to Create a Wrestler 6 to Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though he still looked like, he went from 6 to 2, I think, was the different Create a Wrestler with that outfit, but but he just owned it and just to stop giving any sorts of shit, and great character.
I don't really remember the Ringmaster until later on, but I remember Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that character itself was just monumental. I remember, like I said, going back and watching these now to watch the transformation. It was a big jump from being the $1 Million champion to Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, go back and watch Royal Rumble 1996, and then go and watch WrestleMania 14.
Yeah.
And it's
Chili McFreeze.
Two completely different people. Another one, a little bit longer transformation than some of these, but The Rock went from super goody two-shoes babyface that everyone wanted to murder. They even told him that every time he was in the ring, to Nation of Domination leader, basically. And he got the catchphrases and stuff as he went, but his transformation from goody two-shoes to battling Farouk for leadership of the Nation of Domination was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Career-saving move.
Looking back on it, I was a kid still. I enjoyed Rocky Maivia, and as corny as he was, I remember even getting a little tired of him because he's all like, "Yay, I'm a wrestler guy," and pumping fists all the time. And I think he got injured, and when he was coming back is when he was with the Nation, and he just was like a whole different person. And it was just.
Are you choking up a little bit?
Yeah, it was an emotional time for me. But just, there's some of the stuff like when he buys Mark Henry and D'Lo cars, and then he gives Farouk a picture of himself because that's the ultimate gift or something.
So good.
Just stuff like that. You would not expect that from the original version of Rocky Maivia.
I remember Maivia coming in and just being, like you said, bright and colorful, like a little more colorful Jimmy Snuka at the time. A little better move sets, but not a whole lot. And then just the switch to the Nation, going from like the outside guy to the center of the group, working his way in, knocking Farouk out, and just the overhaul. The mic skills got better in that even in that fraction of time. He went from not holding the mic at all to being the guy talking to everybody and getting the credit.
Yeah. Next one, Triple H. Again, more of a quick change from Hunter Hearst Helmsley to a member of Degeneration X. That was a little bit longer of a thing, but he was definitely becoming more attitude and more real. And thank God that gimmick went away.
Okay, we got out of that too. But yeah, I remember he had his feud with Mankind after King of the Ring, or that was the final, and they still had the feud. But he just seemed like he can go, but his character was like, I don't believe this rich snob can fight Mankind. And then he, after that feud's done, I think it's not long after that is when he buddies up with HBK, and all of a sudden he's not rich guy. He's still snob, but he's not carrying the rich guy attitude and proper and all this, and it's that slow change to entirely different from what he debuted as. But
and I think it could have happened faster if he didn't have to get punished for the Madison Square Garden hug.
Yep.
What do you think?
Triple H, again, one of those guys you saw come in and he stood out, but again, there was no character behind it. There's nothing that really stood out other than he was the rich snobby guy. You didn't see any of that. When he hit the Triple H itself, then you start seeing the little cockiness, the attitude, the jaw jacking at Slaughter and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the slowly with China it started to change.
Yeah.
But it was like, now we got this rich dude with a chick that looks like a dude bodyguard.
He still came out with a valet when he first came in, but it was like the
it was a different person almost every week, and that's where Sable came from.
Yeah.
Yep.
This one you guys voted in. I disagree, but I'll let you guys explain it. Becky Lynch, yes, she had a transformation, but I don't think it was that big.
I think it is because the original goal was she's supposed to be heel suddenly, and it didn't work. The crowd loved it, and she just flat out owned it. Instead of trying to do the Roman Reigns thing for a couple years or try everything to make the crowd like this person, and it just being worse and worse. She's like, well, they want to keep cheering me, so I'll just amp this character up that they like and be stone cold female pretty much. And it was the Nia Jax punch to the face that she took, like as accidental as it was, probably was the best thing that happened to her at the same time, because it delayed the Becky and Charlotte match even longer, and it just made her look more badass with that camera shot of her bleeding. And
It made you like you said, it made you want that match even more. It made you feel, because it was supposed to be Becky versus Ronda at Survivor Series, and she has to get pulled from that match because of the injury, and then people are like, Becky's not getting her chance, because Becky's fantastic in the ring, and people always felt that she was being overlooked by Sasha and Charlotte. Those were the top two of the four horsewomen, and Becky and Bayley had been kind of dropped down a tier or whatever, but Becky can go and is fantastic. I just don't think, for me, character overhaul, I don't think she had as big of one as we've been talking about.
Well, when she started off, she was the lovable, huggable Irish lady.
We're not talking about that one. That was NXT.
No. But either way, when she comes up, she like from the lovable, huggable Irish Lucky Charm to just being the last kicker.
I'm gonna tweet to Becky Lynch that you called her the lovable, huggable Lucky Charm.
As long as it gives me a mention in there, I'm okay with it. I'll take a mention.
Yeah, Dave Meltzer retweeted me. I'll get that in there too. But
yeah, Dave, watch this show.
Yeah.
Come on. No, but going from the last kicker to the man, I mean, like Dave was saying, she was supposed to be a bad guy, and no matter what she did, the crowd loved her. Didn't matter what it was she did. And that shot, like you're saying, that shot of her standing there with the bloody face, to me, that's her stone cold blood running from the mouth or the nose and everything in the sharpshooter. That's her picture right there. And that's what sold it to the crowd, I think, and that's what...
It's black and white now these days. Yeah. We don't do blood.
Yeah. And the last one, the reason why we did this list, Bray Wyatt. Going from that Louisiana cult leader to Mr. Rogers and Marilyn Manson combined.
Yeah.
I guess is the best way to put his character right now, with the whole puppets. I love the two different versions that Bray Wyatt does. A little inside baseball here. We're actually recording this the day of TLC because obviously with Christmas coming up here, we wanted to get a bunch of January stuff recorded because we got a lot of family stuff we're doing. So I want to see what happens with him and The Miz. Obviously, it'll have happened by the time this comes out. But I love the fact that it looks like he's going to wrestle as the Mr. Rogers version.
Yeah.
And because it looks like The Fiend is only going after people that wronged the Louisiana cult leader in the past. So that's who The Fiend goes after, and Bray Wyatt does this stuff. To me, it's ridiculous what he's been able to do.
Oh, yeah. I even go back further than that to Husky Harris.
Oh, God. He's a pig now. He's a pig puppet.
Yeah.
Huskus.
But yeah, just going from Bray Wyatt, he was great on the mic then, and now to reinvent to this, like you said, Mr. Rogers-esque character where he plays with puppets and he has his own little imagination world, to The Fiend, who is just this nightmarish character. It's amazing to watch what he does and to be able to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was gone for a while, and I remember listening to Pritchard's podcast, like when they first started doing the Firefly Funhouse, and like, what in the hell is this? Cause I was intrigued, we all were. I was like, is this really just going to be him? Then he's showing the flashes of evil, and then just Pritchard saying, just you wait. And like, as full of crap as he can be sometimes, he was accurate with that. Mm-hmm. And I think it was months he was gone just trying to figure it out, and I think they finally got it, and they've gotten it.
Like, if you just tell somebody that doesn't watch wrestling the base of Bray Wyatt, they're going to laugh you out because it's so over-the-top stupid. But one of my favorite things to do lately is just go on YouTube and look up Bray Wyatt or Firefly Funhouse reactions and watch. There's people out there that'll watch like the first 6 or 7 of those episodes that are not wrestling fans. And you see them at the beginning like, ha, whatever. And at the end, they're like, dude, this is so good.
You could make a scary movie out of that character alone.
And I know a lot of people probably hated what happened on the SmackDown previous to when we're recording this with The Miz and looking at the tablet of the baby in the crib, and then different dolls kept showing up. I loved it. It's so over the top for Bray. It works great.
It's wrestling. It has to be over
yes. the top. Stop taking it so serious. It's not the Attitude Era. And even then, go back and watch some Attitude Era. That stuff is janky. It made no sense. Now we got to rank these 6.
This list is going to be tougher than I expected.
Yes. So do we want to just take one vote each to put in the top?
To me, I think top is The Rock.
The top, tippy top?
Yeah, because if you the picture everyone shows of the old Rock and the fanny pack and the turtleneck and to what he is now, that alone, even if you didn't wrestle, that's a transformation from hell.
All right. I'm moving Bray Wyatt over.
Agree with both of those. I will say Sting, because for me, like I said, you go from the over boisterous champion of the crowd to a guy that does nothing except for sit in the rafters, come down maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks, and roughly attack 1 or 2 people every couple months,
and still be relevant,
and still be the talk of the company.
Yeah, like
nobody.
He was going to be the savior against the NWO, and they butchered it, but. No, I think I agree. That would be top 3. I think that makes Steve 4th, right? Steve Austin? Yeah. Because it was between Austin and Sting as far as what was going to be in the top 3 for me. So I agree there. So Becky Lynch or Triple H, which one is our bottom of the 6?
Even though Jim and I voted it, I think Becky.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Okay, cool. I was going to fight it out. All right, go. Triple H, I'm a huge fan. I've always been.
To Duke on the other end, I say, like I said, Becky has that iconic image of her taking that shot from Nia Jax, which puts her in that Steve Austin category. But I think the Triple H had the better overhaul. Like you said, it wasn't.
Yeah. No, if she was the little ass kicker that she debuted in NXT and was doing the river dance thing or whatever, and then turned into that, I would agree with you. But that was, I mean, she had went along. I just think for Becky, yes, they gave her more mic time, and she's being able to utilize that. She's fantastic on the mic. She's great in the ring, but she's always been great in the ring. I just think that she's been giving more of a platform. I don't think she's changed as much. She's just been able to be pushed more. So Wyatt or Sting? I don't think we've got there. I think I agree with you that with the Rock overhaul from where he was to where he became is definitely up there. Who would have thought that if he would have said in 1997 that the Rock would be the most over celebrity ever?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. But Wyatt or Sting?
I think Wyatt over him.
You agree?
Yep.
Okay, so that made it easy. I thought it was going to be really hard to do this list as well. Anybody have any disagreements before we end this?
No, I think it was just harder to get to this 6.
Yeah.
Because Broken Matt Hardy was cut. Undertaker.
Well, Broken Matt Hardy could go in that same category as Bray Wyatt when you watch those little vignettes on TNA.
I think, I was going to say, I think
no sense.
Matt Hardy's problem was it was TNA.
Yeah, people tuned in the most to see him, but he didn't change the company.
Well, and then when they try to do it in WWE, it just didn't really work.
Yeah.
Everybody, they overproduced it.
Thank you.
They overproduced it.
Exactly
I will say
where
the
going.
best thing that came out of that whole thing though was the mower of lawns.
Yes.
Rocking chair mower of lawns.
And it created Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how he went away for forever. So our 6, Becky Lynch, Triple H, Steve Austin, Sting, Bray Wyatt, and our number 1, The Rock. What did we miss? Did we get anything wrong? Did you like our list? Like, comment, subscribe, do all of that. We need more suggestions, by the way, for lists to do. We would like some really original ones and different and goofy. Make it hard on us. Leave it in the comments below. And
Best boots.
Now we have to do it.
Worst gimmicks.
Yeah. You guys, I want them to do it. Stop stealing their ideas already. We'll see you next week.